We're going to look at getting images into Illustrator and how you might use the drawing tools just to make something that's vector based and graphic, which is taken from an image. Okay, so here's an example. We've got a picture of a VW camper just imported into Illustrator. And then you can see there's some line art that's just been traced on top, just on one layer here. And then we've got some kind of block colour which very loosely follows highlights and shadows of the bodywork, which you can do as well. Okay, so I'll just show you how you get the images in. So just go File and Place. Okay, so if we put in a new layer here and then go File and Place, then select your JPEG, you'll see that it's a linked file, so we don't copy and paste, it's just remains kind of linked to that file. So if you move the van JPEG and don't tell Illustrator, then it's going to lose the reference. So click Place, and then very often you'll find that the image that you're importing is either too large or too small. You can then just click on the selection tool, hold down Shift and resize it. Okay, let's just turn these off, a little bit confusing. And position it where you want it. In this case we just want to make the front of the camper appear on the page, so mainly the kind of badge and these lines. Once you're happy with that, then just click the thumbnail in the layers palette, double click it, and you'll see there's a template option. Once you click that, it'll dim it to 50%, click OK, and it will also lock that layer so that you can trace it and you won't move it by accident. So once we've got that layer in, we can then use it as a reference for tracing. So we put in a new layer, and this is where you can sort of go off in endless directions really. So depending on how accurate you want the tracing to be and how detailed, depending on those things, you'll do different things. So if you wanted something that was quite faithful to the original but was just vector, you could trace a kind of block colour that mapped out the basic shape of the VW first and then do the windows on top and work your way around. However, if you just wanted something that was much more stylistic, you might just trace the kind of the very flowing lines and some of the lights and some of the detail as a highlight, so you just had kind of line art. It's up to you really, there are lots of ways of doing it, and the thing to do is really to experiment. But I'm just going to show you how you might want to trace and then leave it up to you. So we've just put a new layer in, and I've decided that I'm just going to trace a highlight around the side of the van, and away we go. So just choose the pencil tool, use this door line as a kind of starting point, just trace up, and you'll see that there are subtle changes in the kind of tone of this bodywork here. So there's a sort of highlight which reflects the grass all the way down here, which is slightly lighter to the rest of the colour. So I'm just going to do that highlight. Now obviously you're probably not going to have the image in the final artwork, so tracing faithfully pixel by pixel isn't necessary. We just press Command, just join up your trace for you. So yeah, we're going to lose the background image, so you don't have to be too pernickety about it. Once you're happy with that, we can then just click a colour and fill that, and away we go. And then you can build up kind of highlights and shadows and add them. Each time you do that, make a new layer. So for instance, if I was going to say that this bit here is darker, I'd put in a new layer, put it underneath. I could just lock that top layer now. Going with my pencil again, just use this bumper, top of the wheel arch. Just say this was going to be a bit dark. I can come back and tweak them in a minute. Because it's underneath, I don't have to worry about the top line here. And then Command. So I'm going to fill with the previous colour, and then double click it and make it slightly darker. And then if we turn off the reference image, quite quickly you see how it's starting to look. Okay, just quickly then, you'll notice with the previous example I had, which was this one, I had some kind of lines. I've basically just drawn the inside of the cab using pen tool and then made shapes which all join up and are black. That's going to be the base. But then with the bodywork, you'll see that there's a sort of stylized brush that's been used, which is using the pen tool but then selecting a different brush. So I could go in and sort of continue this line here. So use the pen tool, just pick up, just try and follow the line. And then just use a brush here, make it a bit more stylish, and then change the stroke. Okay, once you've done that, you can also change the opacity of this line just by going in here. And build up different layers of tone and what have you. So if I go in here and just turn off this, you'll see quite quickly you can make something that's based on a photo but has much more kind of, well, different graphic styles for what you need.